And Steve, we were talking about the economy. You've got charts on the positive state of the economy. The April jobs report was quite something.
Well, the issue is what Mark Morial said is absolutely correct. But when you look at the headline numbers and the overarching numbers, there's no question that they are good, and they represent a political tailwind for Donald Trump that that the Democrats are going to have to contend with. So let's start with looking at Friday's unemployment numbers, which people are probably well aware of, that we created 263,000 jobs in the last month, in the month of April, which is a very high number. What doesn't get as much attention, and if you want to look at a counter narrative, it is the fact that job creation under President Trump in his first 28 months in office is actually quite similar, in fact slightly lower than job creation under President Obama in his last 28 months in office. So 220,000 jobs a month for Obama, 202,000 jobs a month for Trump.
So, I mean, Trump's doing almost as well as Barack Obama, right?
He's doing almost as well. Another way to look at this is we've created over 20 million jobs since the recovery ended. 15 million of those jobs were created under President Obama. But nonetheless,
but Donald Trump's almost doing as well, right?
Okay.
Almost doing as well as, but Barack Obama's doing better if you just look at the numbers. But President Trump's almost doing as well as Barack Obama.
Fair enough. So let's look at wages, because it was also...
Because you wouldn't know that. Listening to reports. And I just want to say, as a public service announcement to people in the media who say this is the greatest economy ever and nothing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, again, he's doing almost as well as Barack Obama if you look at the data. And I think that's something to celebrate.
Look, there's a lot of things you can say.
I'm excited.
You're excited.
We remember how bad things were in 2008 and 2009. I'm serious. This is great news.
All right.
I'm glad he's doing almost as well as Barack Obama.
Would you like to look at wages? So,
yes.
So we had wage numbers on Friday as well, and it showed that wages continue to rise at about a 3.2% rate. That's before inflation. What has not happened under Trump until very recently is that real wages, after you adjust for inflation, really barely budged. And if you want to go back to President Obama, he had some periods of higher real wage growth than President Trump did. But lately, these last couple of months, President Trump has actually had some decent positive real wage numbers. And this is an important number to watch. This number and the number of jobs created historically have determined the biggest influence over the presidential election. And then lastly, I want to just show you some numbers that don't get as much attention, but they're really, really important. Productivity. How efficiently are people working? Because without that, you can't have economic growth. And this is a funny number. Economists have never really understand what makes it work. And as you can see, it jumps all over the place historically. But what is noticeable is that after a period of relatively flatness, it has started to turn up. And if Donald Trump has any chance of getting 3% growth going forward for the next year and a half, it is going to be to watch this number.
So overall, though, I mean, what's the unemployment rate?
3.6%, lowest in 50 years. But so if you want a counter narrative, why is it why did it go down last month? Because a lot of people dropped out of the labor force.
You can say that all you want.
That's my point.
But politics aside,
my point.
Let me tell you something. If I understand we're concerned about the rule of law, I understand we're concerned about Russia, I understand we're concerned about Barr lying, security. The Attorney General lying, I understand the things we talk around this table are of grave concern if you love this country and if you believe in Madisonian democracy. That said, when people go to the polls, if they have these type of numbers and they don't follow the news every day, this is strong winds that Donald Trump's back, regardless of everything else that's going on.
But here's an interesting point that you've made yourself, Joe, which is Trump's way underwater in his polls, right? 40, 41, 42%, pick your number. Handling the economy, 50% plus. If you go back to the last election and you run the economist models of how Trump should have done in the last election relative to the state of the economy.
Now you're talking about in 16?
I'm talking about 16.
Yeah.
Relative to an 8-year incumbency, Trump way underperformed in the popular vote what he should have done given the state of the economy. And so that's the yin and the yang of it. The economy will help him. Everything else still hurts them.
The Democrats can do what they want to do. Every time I say Democrats should do blah, they get pissed off. I'm not saying what Democrats should do. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. But if Republicans are able to say, look at our 3.6 unemployment rate, and you want to run a socialist against that,
okay,
you know what? Enjoy your next 4 years with Donald Trump.
Okay, but you tell me how, if you're a Republican, you can feel at all comfortable with the fact we have this booming economy.
Booming, perceived to be, but not quite so booming.
For most people,
it's a pretty damn good economy.
For most, very good economy.
I mean, you talk to small business people, they will tell you things are doing well. You talk to people getting back to work, they will tell you they're doing well.
Yes. So you have all of that going with the way people live, the economy, and yet you have a Republican president in the United States who can't get much above 42%.
No. Well, I mean,
you're not worried as a Republican?
That's because he can't get out of his own way. Yeah, I'm sure they're worried. The guy can't get out of his own way, though. I mean, a smart guy that wasn't a day trader, that didn't look at every slide, would have stopped talking about the Mueller report a month ago and would have been talking about jobs. Hell, I'd be out in middle America going, and I'd have like 3.6% tattooed to my forehead. It's all I would talk about. I'd talk about the booming economy. I wouldn't be screwing around with Vladimir Putin saying you can take over Venezuela.
Any normal president with this kind of an economy would have a 60%
Oh my God, without a doubt.
But
he can't help himself, and he's never been able to.
All right.
He should be sitting at 60%.
Joe, you'll like this.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.